Emergency. Batman speaking. Warning all of you to brace yourselves for big news.
The biggest.
Tell them, Robin.
Holy superlatives, Batman! It's really exciting. Soon, very soon, Batman and I will be batapulting right out of your TV sets and onto your theater screens.
That's right, Robin. Our first full-length motion picture feature in color opens a whole new world of thrills.
Greetings, Trevor. This may concern, and yes, I know what you're thinking. Why does he look scrumptious in that bat suit? I'm kidding, but for today's video, I just wanted to say that, my goodness, the Batman is out this week. It's out. I'm trying to stay off the internet because I think there might be spoilers. Everyone's saying it's good. You're stating the obvious to me because I've been looking forward to this movie for the longest of time. This is literally my film. My most anticipated film of this year is already coming out for 2022. If anything is going to wow me later on down the year, I'm ready for it, but I highly doubt it because I'm really looking forward to this Batman. So in anticipation for that, I wanted to try to review at least some live-action Batman movies that came before. And you know, I've seen a couple of YouTubers here and there review the Batman movies, and even me and my good friends Tyler and Shannon have gone back and rewatched some of the live-action Batman movies in anticipation for the new one. But we didn't watch the 66 one. We didn't give love to Adam West, and surprisingly, a lot of other people haven't given love to Adam West, and I was shocked. Kind of ashamed, you know? So for my channel, I wanted to review the 1966 Batman film because technically, this is the first theatrically released Batman movie. So the Batmania and the Bat hype all really started back in 66. Now, I believe the film came out between seasons 1 and 2 of the series. Season 1 had already aired, and automatically they gave him a movie to feature in the theaters. There was plans for a sequel to this movie that was set to be released after season 2. However, that never came to fruition for whatever reasons. But we have at least one 60s era Batman movie, which to my surprise when I was younger, I didn't know existed. Because I always remembered watching episodes of the television show. So when I got a little older and my dad told me about the movie, I was really surprised. I'm like, how have I never seen this before? So I remember watching it, and I remember having a really great time with it because one thing I really admire about this movie is that it feels just like the show. So if you're watching the show, then you hop over to this movie, no quality changes whatsoever. So with this being the first theatrically released Batman in the era of the campiness, I wonder how well this movie holds up today. So the 1966 Batman movie stars Cesar Romero, Burgess Meredith, Frank Gorshin, Lee Merriweather, which is the second actress to play Catwoman. The original actress that played Catwoman in the series, Julie Newmar, was unavailable to shoot this movie due to some scheduling issues. So they got Lee Merriweather, which to me, when I was younger, did not recognize the difference. Both of these women, along with Eartha Kitt, just embody the characters so perfectly. Then we have Ellen Napier, Neil Hamilton, and of course Adam West and Burt Ward starring as the dynamic duo themselves. So this film sees Batman and Robin going up against 4 of their greatest foes in their rogues gallery. Joker, Penguin, Riddler, and Catwoman join forces to take control of the world by using a dehydration weapon that turns their victims into little colorful piles of dust, which eventually gets put into glass vials for safekeeping. The evildoers use said weapon on the 9 security council members in the United World building and holds them ransom in the depths of Gotham Bay within Penguin's submarine. It is now up to the dynamic duo to rescue said council members from the evildoers in order to prevent their plot from taking over the world. Now, right off the bat, everything I liked and enjoyed about this movie, first and foremost, the performances. Every single actor does a phenomenal job with these characters. Come to think of it, every single iteration of the characters, every interpretation of these characters that come after, the ones we grew up on, they all have their respects to pay to these performers because no one really came before these guys. These guys really made the characters who they are today. Like, all these actors just had the comic book and what was written in the script to work off of. So they really give it their all when it comes to bringing these characters to life on the screen. And with the performances, along with the costumes that are really well done, and the set design, which is also top notch, because it just feels very colorful and very alive, and also there's little Easter eggs and little details about the villains and the characters in the background if you pay attention. All this combined makes it feel like a theatrical performance, like it's a whole theater production that's being put on, and it's Batman characters. Now, I think not only does this movie have that, But the TV series as well has that feeling too. And to me, that just adds a lot of charm to this era of Batman. And with it, again, the movie just feels like a longer episode of the series, but it's very captivating, very enticing, because you want to see what else the Caped Crusaders do in a longer period of time. Like, this was the first Batman movie to give us more Bruce Wayne fighting. Bruce Wayne fighting outside of the Batman suit, and he's just a regular average Joe, you know, having to defend himself. That was one thing Adam West really pushed for and really wanted when it came to the filming of the movie. He wanted more time as Bruce Wayne, which we do get, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that. I did not expect to see a lot of scenes with Bruce Wayne out of the bat suit, but that's what happens, and I was really glad to see that. I also like the fact that this Batman movie is probably going to be the only Batman movie to be entirely shot in broad daylight. Like, I don't think there's any other Batman movie that can do that, or will do that, besides this 60s era. Like, literally, the movie opens up bright and early, and they hop into the Bat helicopter, and they're flying around in broad daylight, and there's people, I think there's even swimsuit models standing on top of a roof waving hi to them. You'll never ever get that in a Batman movie ever again, and that's just something that really makes me enjoy the 60s era Batman. The campiness, the fun that they had with it, you know? I know a lot of people say this isn't the definitive Batman. Of course it isn't. They were doing their own thing. They were having fun with it, and you can't help but look back and pay your respects to it. I'm telling you, man, the groundwork for every single Batman iteration came from this. I believe so. Quite hard to do Batman without even watching an episode, if not watching the movie, watching at least an episode of the 60s era. And another thing I like seeing is a Batman in a pre-modern technology world. I feel like Adam West's Batman is the one iteration of Batman that probably does the most detective work, because again, there's hardly any computers, any GPS systems, technology to look up information. It's literally all back and forth brainstorming. That's all the detective work that happens in this, and I just noticed that right now when rewatching it. I think that's pretty cool. Like, we have scenes of literally Batman and Robin just pacing back and forth, either in the mayor's office or in the Batcave, figuring out Riddler's riddles. And it's really cool to see them use nothing but their wits to figure out what the next step is in the evildoer's plans. It really showcases the vast knowledge that both Batman and Robin possess, which makes it feel like these guys are the only two people that are liable enough to do this. However, with them pacing back and forth and brainstorming things, it does get a little cringy, especially when, I believe, if not Commissioner Gordon, if not Gordon, then probably one of the other officers. And this is literally a line in the movie, and one of the officers is like, well, it's written like a riddle. A riddle. Riddle-er. Riddler. You know? So stuff like that. Little moments like that are they just take me out of it a little bit, and that's where the campiness really shows, and I'm like, okay. Like, you don't have to get this goofy, but they got that goofy, and it's just hilarious, but it is a little bit of a standout for me in a negative way. It comes out, I just cringed a little too much at that line. It just reminds you that this is very much a product of its time. And of course, the plot itself. The plot is another dislike I gotta throw at this movie. Plot is a little wacky, with the villains having a dehydration weapon that turns its victims into small piles of colorful dust. It was just like a pretty wacky premise. Someone's turned into a little pile of dust. It's gonna take a lot to bring them back to their solid physical form. I mean, by the end of the movie, it's just like, oh, they turn on, I don't even know what it was, a reverse machine or a hydrogen machine to give them water. So it's like they're plants, like people are plants. So if people are turned into dust, just water it, and then they'll come back as people. That's how the movie kind of wrapped up, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't really expecting an intricate plot going into it, but the plot is really wacky to the point where, again, it stands out to me in a negative way. But it's not too negative, because ultimately I enjoyed myself when watching the 66 Batman movie. Especially after many dark and realistic takes on the Batman, it's very refreshing to see a fun and lighthearted take on the character. It really felt like a breath of fresh air for sure. So with all that being said, what do I give Batman 1966? That's a good question. Again, this movie stands out because I think there's not going to be any other Batman movie like this. This movie is certainly one of a kind. And with that, I have to give Batman 1966, starring Adam West and Burt Ward, a solid 3.5 out of 5 Skarsgårds. Yes, 3.5 out of 5. Great film, enjoyable film, fun film, but the wacky premises and then some wacky, cringy dialogue that pops up will throw you off board, and that's where I gotta dock the film at. But ultimately, this is a fun film. If you enjoy Batman, you love the character, and you haven't seen the 60s version, what are you doing? Go and watch it, man. Go and watch it, pay your respects to the past, and then prepare yourself to get blown away by the present that is Robert Pattinson's The Batman. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for reaching to the end of it. I will probably be trying to review anyway, a couple of the other live-action Batman films, but at least I got this one out. Please like, share, and subscribe, support the channel. I'm at 285, beautiful number, and I can't wait to see it grow from there. Go and check out the rendered image, a show I co-host with my good friends Tyler and Shannon. Link to the channel will be down below in the description. Again, we were watching all the Batman movies. We are currently on The Dark Knight. Batman Begins just uploaded, so you can go and check that out. And we also did the Burton duology, which is 89 and Returns. And then we did one Schumacher film because we were not going to touch Batman and Robin, so we did Forever. And now we're on the Nolan trilogy. So go and check that out if you're interested. Hope you're all safe and well out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.